Okay guys, so let's look at how to include JavaScript in your project. You can either include JavaScript in your project or write JavaScript in your project or in an HTML file by writing it inline within a script tag or including an external JavaScript file in your HTML. And if you are writing it inline, that is in your HTML file, you can either write it in the head tag within the HTML or before the closing body tag. So let's check it out. Okay, so we can try to write it in the head tag. So first of all, we're going to create a script tag. You can write it within the JavaScript script tag. So you can, let me just write this again. Script. So to define that, you write it with scripts, then VS Code is going to auto complete it for me this way. So then you write the JavaScript that you want to write. Let's create an HTML element here, a PHTML element with an ID of greet, and let's say I am going to greet. Okay, so we can change the text, the inner text of this p tag element in the script tag by writing documents dot get element by ID. What's the element that we want to get? Greet. Then dot inner text, that is get element by ID dot inner text. Let's say hello colors. Okay, but before we write that, let's just go to the phone to the browser and reload it so that we're going to see that one. Okay, I forgot to save, and now let me reload. Okay, so it's saying I'm going to greet. Okay, so let's just type Ctrl Z to undo it. I made a mistake. Okay, so let's save it and go to the browser and reload it again. Okay, and it's like it is loading this JavaScript before loading the p tag. And since this is not working, let's take it from here and write it before the closing body tag. But I'm going to try to fix that in a moment. The reason why it's not working in a moment. Okay, now we are taking it and writing it before the closing body tag. Let me just put space here so that it's going to be clear. And let me increase the font size of the VS Code. Okay, so before the closing body tag, and now let's test it out in the browser. Still now it's not working. Now it's currently not showing the greeting. Now let's load the page. Okay, it's like I forgot to save. Let me save it and reload it. Okay, now you see it does work. Hello colors. Now before the closing tag, it is always advisable to write your script before the closing tag. Now let's try to write it in the head tag again. Why was it not working? Let's try to reload the page again quickly. It's not working. Now I'm going to add an attribute to the script tag, the async attributes. And let's try to, I'm going to explain it just in a moment. Let's try to load the page again now. Okay, it's not working. Okay, it's also not working for this. Oh, sorry. Differ is differ. I wanted to write. If this is also not working, then it is always advisable to write it before the closing body tag. Alright, let's save it now and save it. Okay, and reload the page. Alright. The two attributes, the async and the far attributes, I'm going to explain them just in a moment or in the following tutorials. Alright, so let's create a new file, a new JavaScript file. So we are going to be including the JavaScript through an external script file. Now let's create a new script file, and that's going to be let's just call it index.js. Okay, so this is the JavaScript now. Okay, so to write, let me just chip in this. To write JavaScript, you do not need to install anything, any dependency, any software. It is there already in the browser. You just write the code in an HTML file and execute it. It's going to be executed. Okay, now let's move this script code and take it inside our new JavaScript file. And before we do anything, let's save everything. To save it, I'm just going to come here and click on this little icon here, and it's going to save everything. And let's reload the page. It's not doing anything. Let's reload the page again. Okay. Now, to include the external JavaScript file in our HTML file, so we're going to use the script tag again. Scripts src, so that's going to be / that's the current directory, then index.js. Now let's save it and let's try to reload the page now. Okay, I can see it has worked. Hello Polos. Let's try to write another thing again. Hello Polos, second time. Okay, let's save it and come here and load the page. I can see it is working. Okay, so let's try something, and we can also include the external JavaScript file in the header of the file. Now let's save it and come to the browser, reload the page again. I can see it's saying I'm going to greet. It's not greeting. Save it again. Okay, now let's add the differ attribute to it. I can see it has worked. Hello Polos. Now let me explain the differ. The differ attributes means that it is going to tell the browser that do not load this JavaScript file while or before the page loads, or simply load this JavaScript file immediately you finish loading the old HTML. So after the old HTML has been loaded, then it's going to load this JavaScript file. So that's the reason why it's now working. Okay, so let's move to the next tutorial.